What up, world? And I want to welcome you to another luxurious episode of Not for Nothing podcast. While we are everywhere and nowhere at the same time, bringing you into a good segment today. We are diving into the captivating world of photography, creativity, fashion, and entrepreneurship with a special, genuine guest. Anthony Prince Leslie. Anthony is not only a talented photographer and digital creator, but also the visionary founder of Equator Studios. Join us as we explore the intersection of artistry, innovation, and style with Anthony Prince as he shares his insights and experiences in shaping the visual landscape through his work at Equator Studios. Welcome to the show, brother.
What a such a warm welcome. I feel like that was the best dat ever. It was just like word, word.
Yeah, man. Because like I always said this on previous shows. Like I learned to love people from afar without the ego and just seeing them genuinely grow. I still
Yeah.
like recall the moments where going to your showcase, purchasing your art, seeing that my then girlfriend, now wife, was part of your work. So just like
hmm
wow. And then like 6 months into it, working with Google, doing that, I'm like, oh, this guy really eating. I respect it. Shoot,
Yeah.
man, I'm so happy and genuinely excited to have you on the show, bro.
No,
But
I'm genuinely
ultimately,
excited.
before we start getting into the segments,
Yeah, yeah.
how are you mentally, physically, spiritually, all in one? How are you, bro?
How am I doing mentally, physically, and emotionally? I think right now I'm doing a lot better. I'm doing a lot better right now. You know, there's ebbs and flows in this industry. There's ebbs and flows in life. I'm recently married 2 years, about to be 2 years now, 2022. And, you know, it's different because I also work with my partner. My partner is my partner, Ashley Simone Leslie, creative director, executive producer at Equator Studio, and just really like my sounding board 100%. So like it's
I'm sorry to interrupt, but like, how is it like having a power couple working together? Because I'm seeing you guys as a power couple, just like in hand in tandem. Is like you don't see the man without the woman, and you don't see the woman without the man. I'm like before, like I'm sorry to interject on that part, but I'm just like seeing that is
um,
such a blessing. And how does she speak power to you when you in your creative zone?
I think it's more so just like helping to continue to question it, helping to continue to like revise, continuing to like give me space to like grow, as a creative. I mean, I just remember the first time that me and Ashley realized that we was going to work together. We started a sketching class. She just ultimately was like, and this is like a month and chilling after hanging out, and we were just like, I guess we're dating, but she was like, I want to do the sketching class. I want to, I really go to these stale environments, and it was just like, oh wait, I know models. I can do some photography that would make people come back, and it was just like us trying to like both figure out how we can make something work, and that balance is like something that we put throughout our whole, our relationship at work, our home, you know, it's just everywhere where we're just like, neck to neck, like, all right, you bringing this, I'm gonna bring this, and she loves it. It's not just me, so that's amazing.
That's wonderful, bro. So now, Anthony, I would like to ask, take us to the beginning, take us to the top, because I know when you just bustling and roaming around in the streets of New York, especially in Brooklyn,
hmm
showing out your talent, you're showing out your case of not only dancing, fashion, and having the eye and artistry of just like capturing moments.
Yeah.
Take us to the beginning of what influenced you to walk into this realm and also have the foundation to build upon your studio
Um,
production as
yeah,
well.
my production company, Creative Studio, will have it, but yeah, we'll get to that. But that's two different parts of the company that we just figured out, and it made sense to us. But as far as like taking it back to the beginning, it really started off with, the fact that I'm a Jamaican American, man from Canarsie, Brooklyn.
But,
Like,
but, 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 but.
isn't it? Yo, nah, man. Like, I can't leave my culture and my heritage. Is such a big part of who I am. From dancing when I was younger with my
Mhm,
brothers. My father had 16 kids. My mom had 8 kids. It's just like it was just all of us like immersed in the culture,
mhm.
dancing at parties, me and my brothers, and it was just that from that point I knew I was supposed to be a leader. I knew I had to like look after all these other younger people. I'm the fourth on my father's side, but I'm like the sixth on my mom's side. So it was like I had to, my younger brother and sister on my mom's side, and then I had like so many younger brothers and sisters on my dad's side. Um, and they kind of always look at me like, "Oh, Anthony, you always acting like you're our dad." I'm like, but little did I know I was just trying to give some direction. You know what I mean? It
Oh
was so many of
man.
us.
Oh man, I could attest to that. Being like the oldest, and you're just like, yeah, technically I'm like the third parent. Hey, how you doing, guys? Like let's get things together. Let's fall in
Hmm.
line. Don't follow mistakes,
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
bro.
But yeah, growing up in Canarsie, we were just like me and my brothers, we were just very experimental. Like we like to experiment with things. We like to like learn new things, and we're all about activities. So when I found skateboarding, we were just like, oh, we can skateboard. That would be fun. Pharrell was doing his thing, and then all of a sudden, my brother had got a video camera. We started actually skating really well.
Hmm.
Um, and then we were just like, you know what? Let's see if we can take it up a notch and get a sponsor. So we went to a skate shop. They told us we needed to create a video to get flow, which is like you get 50% off stuff in the skate shop. So it went from Equator Skate Team to Equator Productions because, right at that moment, we were probably like 17. So it was just like, okay, so now that we have this, we sent the video to them. They like
Hmm.
it. Another energy drink company reached out to us, and they were like, "Oh shoot, we understand that this is a barter. Like what the barter system is, and like you have something to give that's not like
Wow.
money. Like we're still young, so we can barter like our skills. So that's a trade that I learned very young
Hmm.
to be able to like have something to offer in order to receive, and that's in the relationship, right? I mean, it's not all about giving and getting, but like
Yeah,
a big part of like wanting to work with these bigger brands is
it's
that
building like a network.
yeah, you're building a network with people,
Hmm.
and like you're the actual demographic, so you know what you want to hear, what other people want to see. So that happened at a very early age, and then when I went to film school, I was just like, yeah, this is it. Like I
Hmm.
was all up and down Soho. I got to film the likes of like Pharrell, Chris Brown, Kanye West, Kid Cudi when he was working at the Bape store.
Wow.
I was just always kind of immersed in like this entertainment, fashion realm, and like Soho was like the place that all the young kids link up and hang out.
Yeah.
So
So
that was
what I noticed about you, and like seeing from afar, because I always like to observe from afar and always have like the inspiring accolade, like damn, this person's really doing it genuinely. You always push the fashion trend. You always do something unique, not following traditional norms, but like, hey, I'm following my own style. I'm breaking my own barriers, and also just like taking a slither of inspiration from you. I see like, hey, this person had the opportunity to work with these big personalities, but still hold his humbleness within himself. And that's the part I also got to give you your flowers, that you're always genuinely humble about yourself, and you're like not walking with some sheer arrogance like as some individuals that we come close to know and seeing. But I'm just like, damn, this guy legit doing it. How do you maintain yourself like mentally while working with these big personalities and inspiring yourself to like walk into the fashion realm?
so this is a little bit of a twofold question, but in order for me to like work with these bigger brands and these people, these personalities,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be Zendaya to Rihanna to whosoever. It's like just being yourself. Like one big reason why I'm able to stay afloat and still be able to like continue to create on this level is because I'm me. I understand what it takes for my work to be the way I want it to be, and it's like a machine. It has all these little parts to it
Mm-hmm.
that run through a process, and it's gonna come out. On the other side, you're gonna get this video product, and it's just amazing that like people see themselves in my work because they're like, oh, if I go through his chain of work, then my output will look different. So what I create for Google is different. What I create for MGM is going to be different, but it's going to be the same because it's coming from this vessel. And yeah, I just have like a distinct approach to film, and I bring my love of movement and history, performance to my directorial lens, and my visual language. I was able to create the visual language for like record labels,
Mm-hmm.
media companies globally. And I just have like a holistic depiction of life. So if you ever look at my work, it's always going back to like the family, the structure, the community, you know, yeah, just those buzzwords there. But yeah, to sum it up, it's for me to be able to still remain myself and
Mm-hmm.
feed myself. Then all these other personalities, they're just people. They're not like we idolize them, and that's cool, but the work speaks for itself. When it like my common ground and way of communication is film. So
Yes.
I'm talking to somebody that I like Spike Lee about film. I'm not I'm gonna be a little nervous, I'm gonna be a little shy, but my
Mm-hmm.
intention is to learn and gain and like understand, what these people that I really look up to and like want to build with, what they want to do and how they get to their end goal, and like how we can like make it elevated together.
Wow, like that's incredible, bro. Just like knowing how articulate you are regarding of like engaging with these people. And I always like want to give you your flowers genuinely because I'm like, knowing that where you come from, where we usually work in the bustling streets of New York, how everyone's like, hey, I gotta get the point A to point B. Hey, I gotta make sure like, pockets is full, everything is okay, gotta grind, grind, grind and hustle. And just hearing how you have different conversations with these important people, and even for me talking to other important people or athletes, like just having a different dialogue and conversations, like, hey, I want, I'm an open book, speak to me
Yeah.
please. I like tell me something how I can push my needle a little bit more further.
Hmm.
And hearing you and seeing some of the works that you put on, even like on YouTube abs and all, I'm like, yo, I know this cat. Oh, that's my boy.
Yeah.
Like, it just be genuinely, especially when I tell like, family members and friends, like, oh, I know this cat.
Yeah.
Like, well, I don't know him directly because I met him through my wife when they were working together.
Yeah.
Bro, he's a beast.
Yeah. I appreciate that. And you know what? Like that support means so much to me. Like just to off the record, on the record, like the support that you and your wife gave me in, the beginnings of my career is like the energy that I needed to know that like I'm doing it for a people, I'm doing it for my people. And my story is in, everybody else's story too. So to be able to like have a soul piece from you all, for Kim to be posing in front of my camera when I was just trying to understand my eye,
Yeah.
like it was super important for me to also gain that trust and that respect, from the people around me before I look to gain the trust and respect from people within the industry. So I thank you so much for like just always looking forward to like what I'm creating and amplifying it.
No doubt, no doubt, bro. As we dig deeper into the vision behind Equator Productions,
Hmm.
Anthony, how do you ensure that the core values of the production resonate through your creativity endeavors? Can you walk us through the guiding principles that drive your work?
So I would just say like overall some of the principles that guide my work is authenticity,
Mm-hmm.
culture. I would say it's about vision, familiarity, artistry, joy, and deliberateness. Those are some of my core values that's also interweaved in the company. And I've got to work with Coin Ayuba, who's like a dope, branding genius. And, we've learned from so much from these companies, and like, being able to build with her,
Mm-hmm.
who also made the E logo for Equator.
Wow.
Like I said again earlier, like we're rebranding Equator, and like these are some of the words that we utilize to help question our work, help to like elevate our work. So like with vision, it's about, being audacious, innovative, ambitious, and like I want my audience to feel inspired and confident, like, so it's just like those are the five brand values that like we hold dear to us, and
Mm-hmm.
that's like interweaving who I am and was able to like spell into the company.
Wow. Like, I'm sure you probably had this question asked you multitude of times. Like, was it difficult to try to find your niche into the production? Like, driving it with the personalities and the personnels that you're working with and the sponsors that you partner with.
Hmm.
Did you feel the amount of pressure on your shoulders trying to capture those moments to their liking or to your liking? Excuse me.
I definitely felt the pressure, dealing with, you know, high profile, artists and creatives and musicians, because like I said earlier, I see myself as an archivist,
Mm-hmm.
and the pressure is that we need to document ourselves
Yeah.
the way we see it. There's a lot of times where you watch these documentaries after some of these artists are passed, and it's just like, did that really embody the spirit of who they were and what their actual mission was and what their vision was for what they created?
Mm.
This is like this is something that a person dedicated their whole life to,
Yeah.
and it's up to me to add to that story. And I never just want to just add to a story. I want to elevate the story. I want to, bring something fresh, to it. And I mean, I would just say, like, just for Equator, our vision statement is, to establish Equator as a full service creative partner to industry peers, while offering thoughtful and inspiring work that goes beyond what's expected of a traditional creative agency. And
Mm-hmm.
if you think about this vision statement, and if we break it down, it's like we're a full service creative partner to our industry peers. That means we see eye to eye, you know, with a lot of these other people that we're like helping to amplify. And yeah, regular creative agencies are just, usually the middleman between, you know, a behemoth like Netflix and creatives, and they're bringing, a director or a photographer, and then the
Mm-hmm.
creative agency is just like, okay, we'll come up with this idea, we'll have these people execute it, and then we're delivering to them, and then that's pretty much it. And I think for us, it's like, what did this look like over time? A series.
Mm-hmm.
How do we continue to like to build a platform that can help launch, not only just the work that you create, but the people that's a part of it, the community that's a part of it. Did that answer your question?
Oh, that answered my question. Like you like hit the hammer on the head like right away. It's just like it formulated a lot more questions in my head, but then also solidify some of my feelings of what I felt internally, especially like you get inspired seeing like other people's works
Hmm.
or like just reassuring like okay what's the better camera quality, how can I like understand the lighting contrast, like even for here just trying to set up my little production real quick to making sure that I'm like okay the camera's at the eye level, like
Yeah,
I can engage, I can make
yeah,
sure everything is good to go,
yeah.
and even taking risk because
Hmm.
I understand by taking a risk by betting on yourself because
Hmm.
you're a walking testament of I'm gonna bet on myself
Mm-hmm.
to forward this idea and turn this idea into a physical entity, and then turn this physical entity into multitudes of physical entities
Yeah.
where it can connect into one big umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
And just not only seeing that and having values, you're a walking testament of a New Yorker through and through. I'm
Oh,
a walking hustler, baby. Like I
listen,
could
let
go
me
to East
tell you
Coast to
something.
West Coast.
I'm not people switching over to the West Coast, and I know shame in their game. Like the industry is there. Like you want to
Mm-hmm.
get with a big agency,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you go to LA, you do some work, couple commercial gigs, and
Mm-hmm.
then you find a really huge agency to start representing you. And then the common goal is to go from, you know, working on your personal work, then you work on commercial stuff with big brands to make the money, and then you get an agency. The agency starts to pump out the work with all of these different creative
Yeah.
hubs. I mean, creative what you call it, brands that
Mm-hmm.
you know want to see work. I'm thinking, I'm just talking from like a director, photographer, filmmaker's perspective, and like what the chain of line looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And then not from when you're, you know, start to pump out all this work with these commercial agencies, you get money, you start feeling yourself, you have just, you know, to get insurance, you're able to get, you know, you're just able to afford a different lifestyle. Then you
Yeah.
want to get back to the passion work, and that's where I'm at right now, where it's like I'm getting back into the work that I love, the filmmaking, writing
Mm-hmm.
scripts and stuff like that, so that you can like continue to do what you do. Because a lot of these people, they're not going to work with you just
Yeah.
because, um, just because you worked on a Jordan campaign. They want to work with you because they know that you have a vision outside of all of that. You know, uh,
Hell yeah.
but at the end of the day, I don't got to go to LA to do that. I'm going to do it here because New York needs the lot. New York needs an Equator Studio lot. New York needs the film community for Black and brown people like us
Yep.
who are very, you know, who are part of the culture and who can actually depict the culture the best.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And archive the people that's around us in the best way possible. So if I'm out in LA, I can't do that for New York, and that's been like a constant struggle for me. You know, like damn, I really need to go to LA to go, you know,
Yeah.
mingle with like Issa Rae's and Ava DuVernay and one of my other favorite writers. I don't know how I'm blanking on her name right now, but like, oh, Lena
If she
Waithe.
pop if she pops up, then you could just like boom, drop
Yeah,
her
no, I'm
off.
just saying, like, I want my also my one of my other like favorite writers, Lena Waithe. You know, she wrote The Shy, she wrote
Wow.
Queen and Slim. You know, they're all in LA, but they're from a lot of them are from LA area, and they're able
Mm-hmm.
to like continue to tell that story about LA because they're there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I need to be here in order to tell these stories from New York.
Oh yeah, that's important, especially like you're just trying to like what you guys already created a lane or give the blueprint, but we also have sustenance on this side as well. Like when I was
Hmm.
in the military, like coming from the East Coast to the West Coast, of course the culture, the ideals, the approaches are completely different,
Yeah.
and one of my captains said this to me, and he was a New Yorker through and through. He was from the Bronx. He
Okay.
was like, "Yo, Ramirez." I was like, "Yes, yes." Well, I'm not gonna drop his name. I don't want to
Yeah.
compromise him. But he was just like, "Hey, you know what's interesting about us?" I was like, "What?" In the East Coast between the West Coast, we are kind but not nice. But the West Coast is nice but not kind. Because we can lift up a stroller and like put it on the platform without saying thank you or nothing because we know everybody's busy. Versus some people could just like, oh hey, how you doing, and not be kind behind the end. So I'm
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
knowing how the personalities, how like when people hear, oh you from New York, they see us different. We move different. We know how to blend in the background and knowing how to fit in the room
Hmm.
and just like not build a story from our actions and also from our words, and hearing how you're just trying to come back and bring it home is a testament to what you have learned. Like knowing that you can go to LA and you just try to build yourself up from the ground up, and seeing hearing, and just also you explaining your testimony,
Hmm.
because at the end of the day this is from you. And like
That's it.
for me personally, I was so excited, just I'm like, oh I want to talk to him. And even just me building up some of my previous episodes, I always tell everybody, you're going to see each episode that I'm going to improve little by little. But he always saying like how our character is a testimony of how we affect our environment.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the importance that like I took off from that, and I was just like, wow. And even taking this risk, and I sincerely do appreciate you coming into my platform and just like sharing your story and your testimony, and knowing that you are an indirect influence onto me. Because
Mm.
like my wife was like, hey, you know what, why are you waiting on everyone else to start this podcast, to start this conversation, to start things? Just hit record and build yourself upon it,
And do
bet
that.
yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, so now just like, all right, cool, let me just try to push the needle a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And as we transition into like to the next segment, my question to you, brother, is like your innovation approach to photography and digital creation sets the Equator production apart. Could you share a specific example or project that stood out to you mentally, that like not for nothing, without this I wouldn't be here? Like, is there any moments that stuck out to you the most?
There were a lot of moments on my journey to, becoming a filmmaker that made me realize that this is what I'm destined to do. But
Mm-hmm.
also, if I didn't have, you know, like number one, people who believed in me around me,
Mm-hmm.
then I just wouldn't be here. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I wouldn't say that I wouldn't be here because actually that's wrong because I'm here because I want to be here. You're here, you created this podcast not for nothing because you had to do it. There's something that you wanted to do, and then we can like come and like amplify that and like uplift it. So that's one. But to answer your question, it was one moment where I was like, shit. I was a videographer for a marketing agency that had like a pop-up physical location.
Mm-hmm.
I was running my studio from it, and it was just one of those places in which I was able to like continue to practice, in real time what my work looks like. And I remember a good friend of mine's was just like, "Yo, you're blessed, bro. Like, here, take my gimbal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I see you operating, the gimbal, and like that's the thing. Like Steadicam, it's that one thing that keeps the camera steady when you're like, you know,
Moving around, yeah.
moving around. It keeps the camera stabilized. They got it all in the phones now. That's crazy. But he was just like, "Yo, take this. You should have it." And I will put my camera on there, and everywhere I go, I had a ring light and I had a steady cam, and like I would go to events in the Lower East Side, or I would
Mm-hmm.
work with like this one company and to like do like pop-up exhibitions with like Timberland and like Fabco and New Balance and Nike. And it was just like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, like I got my feet wet there. You know what I mean? Like if I didn't have that, this company is called Wallplay, actually. I'm not gonna discredit them, but if I didn't have that moment where I got exposed
Yeah.
to how companies, how agencies would work, or marketing teams would work with these companies to like
Mm-hmm.
create visual content,
Mm-hmm.
then I wouldn't be here. I mean, then it would be a lot different. And then as my wife, like now, but like then, when we started working together, I had another team member that oh yeah, I had another team member that didn't quite work out. But she reminded me that like I need to keep working on the craft. Like my coloring was not like up to par, and I'm realizing that I can have dope videos, but like something is off. And she
Yeah.
was like, "Why don't you find somebody to color it? Like, the coloring that you did is not good." And I'm like, "You know what? Let me do some research. I'm gonna find somebody who color it." And then now this is like 8 years in where I'm just working with this one colorist named Josh Bohosky on all my projects. And I most recently even found my look too. Like it's been years of doing this, and I always had a look, but now I
Mm-hmm.
know for sure what my vibe and energy look like. And it happens in the lighting, like I love moody lighting,
Oh,
but I love to like raise the blacks, and I like to like decrease the contrast so it does not like
mm,
sharp, like how you look right now in this video, like how I look. You see the grain in the
yeah,
image.
yeah.
That's something I like because like it's something soulful about it, and I'm pretty much like recreating what it looks like for film. Film is very soft.
Yeah.
It feels like you're capturing the soul. It feels organic. And now all my works, when you look at it on my page, you'll see like
Mm.
the grain and the lifted shadows. And it just like kind of makes things a little more personable and less like more personable and less like, polished and clean. In a,
Wow, I just learned something new from you just now. I was just like, oh, okay. I didn't. I To be honest, I didn't know. I thought I'm like, all right, this guy figured it out. Like,
Mhm.
this guy already evolving levels. Because to me, how I'm processing it in my mind
Yeah.
is that you are not only like the visionary or the spearhead of your company. I to me, I figured, okay, if you're playing like the directory role and like, hey, I need you to be this, hey, I need you to be that, hey, I need you to do this, like, communicating with people
Mhm.
at a hands-off approach, but they all are extensions of you, so to speak.
Everybody, yes. My whole community is an extension of me, and I'm an extension of them. When I go out
Oh.
as a director, I'm representing so many people, and I feel like that's something I guess we didn't talk about. That's like also pressure.
Mm-hmm.
But to go back to the last question, like uh, one thing that um, one thing that I realized that if my trajectory would have been different
Yeah.
is is if I didn't like begin doing this by experimenting with my brothers. My brother Brian Prince, my brother Brandon, Nino,
Mm.
we were like putting our heads together to like have fun. So now the spirit of fun and play is within my work throughout. So when you're on set,
Yeah.
we said we work hard, but we're keen on having fun while doing it,
I like
and
that.
that's
I
what
like that.
creates the essence and the spirit on set. So when you get there, like we hustle and bustle, but when we get a time to laugh and break down, like on
Yeah.
sets, we turn up. At the end of my
Mm-hmm.
sets, I pop champagne,
Okay.
and everybody drinks, and it's just that like that surprise of life. It's the
Mm.
hard work and play, you know,
Wow.
balance.
Oh wow! Like, you know what? Just to reconvene on the extension part, because like, we touched on an important topic there. How
Hmm.
everyone is an extension of you, and you are extension of them.
Hmm.
How do you cultivate those bonds with people? I know you being genuinely authentic yourself and
Yeah,
unapologetic,
yeah.
but how do you cultivate those close proximities with those individuals? How do you develop your trust with them? Is it with time? Is it with effort? Or is it with how they approach you?
Damn, I feel like you answered that question yourself. Like how I'm able to approach these relationships with these with people that I'm building with.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely takes time. Like I'm not here to rush anything,
Yeah.
and it has to be organic. Like you have to want to hang around me, because it just takes like something so personal. It takes vulnerability for both of us
Mm-hmm.
to like have like like for us to get to an amazing end goal. We both have to be vulnerable.
Wow.
And when I'm not able to give my full self to the project, and and that happens on the other side,
Mm-hmm.
then it's usually a missed opportunity. You know,
Yeah.
so being vulnerable, I would say time also helps with these relationships.
Yeah.
But another way in cultivating relationships with people is to just be mindful.
Mm-hmm.
Like uh, during the people that I want to build with and want to create with, it's a phone call, it's questions, it's you know, gifts. Sometimes it's from the Equator Studio. It's not just from me, from the team. We send
Mm-hmm.
out gifts to all of our clients, and you know, it's so that they also remember that we're humans, and
Yeah.
that we actually care about the work that we do at Equator. So yeah, it's all these it's so many things in one, but it's just like ultimately it's just being utilizing time, humanity. Well, no, I would
Yeah.
say utilizing time. I said time. What else did I say? I'm blanking now.
Utilizing the genuineness of being vulnerable with
Yes.
people.
So being vulnerable people, you
Mm-hmm.
throughout the time of knowing them,
Mm-hmm.
and and put in effort and how you back it up, and
Yeah.
that can look like a gift. That can look like remembering a birthday. That could look like reaching out just to see what's up.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like speaking on vulnerability, because for us men, and it's kind of difficult for us, especially if we try to be open with people, and sometimes we don't know people's intentions right away,
Yeah.
and at times they're like, oh, like, we could use this against them or
Hmm.
hog tie them with it.
Hmm.
And even now, just like slowly building and maturing, like as the older we get, the more we're just like looking at the world with a more fine eye, like, okay, I could see where is it, where it's like where people are being genuine and where people are just being used just to be used and just put on the side.
Yeah.
And that's the part where you just like, build upon it. And even now, just hearing the suave way of you speaking of your experience and working with others and how you connect with them. Um, does you does
Mm-hmm.
uh being a Brooklyn native,
Mm-hmm.
does that also incorporate and influence some of your personalities when you walk into these spaces?
Oh, hell yes. Being a Brooklyn native brings so much to every space. Like
Mm-hmm.
anytime I walk in a space, like I said, my fashion and how I look,
Mm-hmm.
like I put my heart on my sleeve. So already you're like, who's this person?
Yeah.
And that's not because I'm trying, it's because I'm able to wake up and be my complete self every day. And I know
Yep.
myself, so that confidence that I have kind of outweighs what I'm wearing, but
Mm-hmm.
it's also like a net, and it's a way I'm able to communicate with people.
Yeah.
You know, so also being Jamaican, I've been into like all the latest threads and stuff like that. We're very fashionable
Mm-hmm.
label whores, if you would say. Von Dutch is something that I've been in the Caribbean community. I mean, every community, right? But like
Yeah.
I've stolen my dad's Von Dutch pants, to go to school with, like, and I
Gangster. I
stole my
like
Birkin
that.
Prada shoes, like I was just like, it was so much around me, and I just loved it so much because it helped
Mm.
me like speak when I didn't have the words.
Wow. I
But
like
also,
that.
yeah, but also I would say like, how I'm speaking to people as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
I move, I move fast, and I know when to start a conversation or know when to stop a conversation. And that's also super important. You're not gonna just like, yeah, great, amazing. Like you
Mm-hmm.
gotta know when you gotta piece yourself out. You gotta listen to the cues and see other people's body language. Like they might be
Yeah.
a little uncomfortable,
Mm-hmm.
and that might make you a little uncomfortable, or you might be uncomfortable, and maybe you need to take a quick reset in the
Reeling it back a
bathroom.
little bit. Just like,
Yeah, a
okay,
little
hold on.
social. I could be a lot.
Yeah.
I could be a lot for some people too, and I have to realize that as well. Like, because I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this, then we're gonna do that and go over there. All right, I'm seeing you in a second. I'm about to go do this thing, and they're like,
Yo,
whoa.
that's crazy that you say that. That's crazy. Yo, that's crazy that you say that because when I was in the military,
Yeah.
I thought I was vibing with everybody. Everybody, yo, what's up, Ramirez? And when I left and hearing from a shipmate that left as well, he's like, yo, everybody disliked you, bro. You was too much. I was like, whoa, what was this?
Yeah.
No one brought this to my attention. I'm like, if y'all would have told me this, I would have reeled it back a little bit. But I thought,
Hmm.
like, being loud, extroverted, and like, go, 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 go. It was like, oh, this is just me. But now I'm just like, oh, okay, let me just dialing back in. And like as you said, you got to know when you enter your conversation and when you have to exit. And I think that's like a skill that everyone needs to learn, especially like learning how to actively listen instead of just, oh, I hear you, but let me talk my piece
Word.
after you just finish talking. And then it's just like, oh, okay, cool. But like what you was talking about, just knowing, like, you could be too much. That's crazy, because it's just like, damn, I'm like 31 years old. And I'm like, all right, I'm figuring out a little bit
Shit
now. Like,
speaking volumes.
yeah.
I did not, and that's something I didn't realize as well. And you know what? Like, we might be a little bit anxious as New Yorkers. Like,
Yeah.
it might just be the case. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we're also black men, and we're just our eyes are peeled in ways.
Yep.
Like I remember like living in Canarsie, like we had this game like, yo, watch your head back, fam. You don't know. You feel me? Like I'm on the
Yeah.
streets. Like if when you walking on the street on flatlands, you walking close to the gates and you looking over your left shoulder, like because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes your friends might drive in a car and they might be like, yeah, see that? I got you. You know what I mean? Like I see you. And it's like
Yeah.
on some homie shit. So it's like it's always
Mm-hmm.
watch your head back. So I
Mm-hmm.
kind of like walk of the spirit where I'm like, I could be like a little bit standoffish because I'm like trying to pre. See, I'm using my Jamaican term.
Yeah, no, you're
Trying to pre
trying
the
to
session.
observe your surroundings real quick. Like, you know what?
Yeah,
I know where I gotta go if in case things pop off. I know where my exits are,
yeah.
real quick.
So,
No, that's really attestable.
mm,
That's
mhm.
real. That was my dog. I'm sorry.
Okay,
She
good.
she
I'm
just
like,
got
I know
up.
you're no, that ain't the woofing like that.
Yeah.
um,
Shoot. But like as you were saying, like just keeping your observation, like your surroundings, observing your surroundings, and making sure, like, you're watching your 12, your 6, not like
mhm,
not getting caught off guard, but
yeah.
like still being like, all right, I'm still chilling, but I'm watching.
Hmm.
But I'm just like, just knowing the certain factors of your uh digital eye, because I think it attests to your skill levels too, like, throughout the years, like, okay, let me just start on, like, Anthony year 1 to Anthony year now, like, okay, boom, like you could see all your previous work, and then you're just like, okay, I know I could improve on this one. And I always feel like this is how I process it, that we're at times our own worst critic, but
Hmm.
then our low praisers, where we just like, we don't praise ourselves a bit too much,
Nah.
because then it's just like, all right, cool, like I'm hearing people saying that my work is good, but I don't feel that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And well, that's just like how I'm just speaking on my end,
Mm.
because like everyone would say, hey, you're a good person, you're this, you're that. I'm like, am I walking into that truth? Am I acting in a way that shows my personality? And you always question yourself a little bit, to like, hey, how can I be better?
Yeah.
How can I improve?
Yeah.
And seeing how you just, like, even on the social media aspect, like not to sound like, too investigation, like
I
investigating,
mean,
like, oh, let me
you're a podcast host. If you ain't doing no research, boss, then you did not do it. You did a disservice.
yeah, right. So I'm just like looking in, and like going down to your previous work, and then going down to seeing, like, some of the commercials that you worked with, and the recent one that you worked with Jasper and Converse. And
Oh,
I'm just like, wow, like how intricate that this guy just went from just doing this to like creating like a cinematic scene and just working around. And it's a testament, and it like gives me utmost confidence, not to get too involved into my emotions into it, but it
no,
just gives
please
the
be vulnerable.
utmost confidence into building upon yourself and betting it. Because I'm like, if this guy can just not only just direct and just like, just recording another person acting out, but being a part of it and then removing himself out, like that's a skill that I noticed off rip. I'm like, oh, this guy just planted himself and then pull himself out, and then just allow the art to just be itself. And I was
Mhm.
like, oh, that's dope. And maybe it's just me noticing that, just like noticing that it's like, okay, y'all gonna see me, but then y'all gonna unsee me once I just like pop pop
Yo, so
real
let me
quick.
tell you something. One of my favorite directors is Spike Lee, and Spike Lee was in She Gotta Have It. He was
Yeah.
keeping a lot of his movies, Girl Six. Like he he knows these characters best. He knows his world best. So
Mm-hmm.
he had the talent of like not only like showing the world but being as well. And
Mm-hmm.
right away, you like you said earlier, like it's all extensions of us. So like when you see Spike Lee, you see Do the Right Thing. you see all the cast and crew members. Like, I don't know what it is, but like when I see the force on his feet, I'm like Mars. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
to get to the question, like, well, can you restate the question so I make sure that I'm answering it right?
Oh, how how do you view yourself as a person now? 'Cause I'm gonna rephrase the
Okay, I
question.
got it. I know where I was at.
Yeah, okay.
So let me tell you something about Converse.
Yeah.
Right? So I got hit up to do a series. There's going to be three
Mhm.
episodes. This is my first time working with my agent, Bright Young
Mhm.
Things. Apart from working with Equator, all of my work is pretty much the work that we were doing at Equator and how, and other people that we could collaborate with in our community. But it's
Yeah.
mostly my work because people come to us for that sauce, and a lot of the times they do expect me, even though when they get to meet us, then they realize how we work. It's super professional. We're very
Mhm.
investigative, and we're very adaptable to like what our clients working styles are, so that we can make the process easy for them
Mhm.
internally. So it's a lot of organization that happens behind all of that. But with that being said, like I was like, you know what, in order for me to really grow as an artist myself, I can't forget,
Mhm.
I need to get signed by another agency. And I wanted to get signed by an agency in New York
Mhm.
because I want to still be able to, add to this bigger story that I'm creating here around film, and hopefully we can bridge into television out here. But with all that to say, like I'm about to sign with this agency. I'm like, let's work on a project first before I sign to y'all in the
Mhm.
beginning of the year. This is going to take a lot away from Equator because, you know, everybody, what we did, we worked on a non-exclusive agreement. And, I'm not sure if I can actually speak about this, but I'm going to say it anyways, and we can talk about it later with my lawyer. But um, I was, I have a non-exclusive agreement in terms of like working with Amazon MGM and Google, right? So now any projects that happens, like that, my agency cannot take me away from any works for Amazon and Google, because those are my clients that we've been able to build with Equator. You'll
Holy
see later that Equator is working on an actual partnership with Google right now. I'm in a program called Creator Labs, which is like an incubation. I've been working with the Pixel 8, the Pixel phone, since like Pixel 3 or 4. No, Pixel 4, I think. And it's been for like the last, since 2019. I met with Steven and Ava, who's amazing. And we've been working on these Pixel projects, passion projects, where they just like pretty much give us like 15 to 30K to like work on our passion stuff. Anyways, so I had to explain that so that you understand. When I'm working with this agency now, they're like, okay, we understand that you're trying to go into more long form. Let's work on these series. I think I know somebody. Got hit up. They said Converse. I said, okay. I created a creative brief of what I think it should look like and be.
Mhm.
They shared me their creative brief, and then the ball started rolling. It was only 3 episodes. We come to the day of the shoot. Now
Mhm.
we have about 4 episodes, you know,
Wow.
really 5 episodes, because it's a trailer. It's a Converse wanted to speak on the timeline between, from the inception, and like how they like worked on so many different shoes over the past years and how they all
Mhm.
hand stitched. So it was like an episode on logos, episode on skateboarding, episode on hoops and weapons, like the hoop, like basketball,
Yep.
and there's subcultures. There's an episode on subcultures, and then we have the trailer. So when we were on the set, it was like, damn shit, we don't know what to do, because now Jasper, who was amazing,
Mhm.
Jasper is a fucking dude. He is himself another person who just like is embody who they are, and that's who people come to him for. So that's why he gets, most time he gets the big bucks, and he's happy because you don't have to lose a big part of yourself to collaborate with others.
Yeah.
But anyways, we were just like, what the fuck are we gonna do? Because now we were off script with Jasper, because working on Loiter Squad, he's always like pretty much like prompt and not like actually reading a script.
Mhm.
So the client was just like, oh shit, we're gonna have to pivot on this. Like,
Yeah.
we have a script that we need to hit these sound bites, but Jasper really works with prompts. So I was there prompting him and feeding him lines like Converse All Star. Yes. Say it one more time, Converse All Star, but say it like you hate it. Say it like you love it. Like say little things like that. That's not exactly what I said, but it's just like an example of like, having to
Converse
create a
All
character.
Star. Okay.
You,
Okay.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
so basically the last episode we didn't subcultures, we had to pivot.
Hmm.
Everything was kind of looking the same. We just wasn't like we created a set design with like all the different Converse stuff. Alistar, the character, he's
Yeah.
all about like collecting cool Converse shit. So he has so much different Converse things inside his room. So
Hmm.
we worked through the set design to like weave in little like cool trinkets and fun things like like stickers, sneakers, little maybe a yo-yo and shit like that. But with that being said, on this last episode, I had to pivot. Client was like, "We don't know what to do." I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna go in."
Hmm.
They're thinking about how they can bring in Sam the archivist. Sam is
Okay.
like the Converse guy, and he has like all the cool. He actually has all the cool Converse shit in real life.
Wow.
So we were like, they were like, Jasper should interview him. At first, he was just supposed to be in the episode as like somebody that's taking notes, and like we were kind of just gonna allude to a joke of him like not knowing something and Jasper knowing it, and him learning from Jasper. But now it came to the point where it's like, okay, he actually has the knowledge, and Jasper has to read lines. Let's have Jasper quiz him on
Hmm.
these things so that he can say all those lines and Jasper can just be himself and just kind of like flow with it. So it worked. And how we did it was like I came in to set the stage. So
Hmm.
you're right. When I was on set, I'm like, I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna introduce this to you. We want to bring in Sam Archivist because it's real. It's a little bit
Hmm.
meta now, but it's like something that's super believable. We're already on a set. You can't really tell, and it's just like, how can we like make this more personable and familial, for people so that we don't miss the mark and we can still talk about what the brand needs to be talked about. So I'm happy that that worked out. I was supposed to be in like more talking roles throughout the series, like asking questions, but you
Yeah.
can hear my voice
Hmm.
in like episode 1, 2, and 3 talking about, asking him questions and things like that. But in terms of that last episode, it was like a major pivot and it allowed for me to like be on screen with him and
Yeah.
set the stage.
Wow. So just coming back, because that's how I knew that you was destined to rise. Once I saw you on Pixel on Google Pixels, I was just
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, my guy, this is moving in silence.
Hmm.
But seeing the transition of you doing that with Converse and Jasper, and I guess pivoting now from going from the photographer realm to director to now trying to do like screenwriter.
Yeah.
Can you explain to the audience like the difficulties of those transitioning pivots where as you explained that you gave Jasper some lines, and I could assume that you not only like thought on the fly or like strategically thought those lines through, because it takes probably time for you to just like cultivate things together. So how do you build upon that?
Okay, so number one, like going you and I feel like photography is a study of film.
Hmm.
It's a study of like the single image.
Yeah.
And then you have film, which is a motion picture. So it's many pictures in one. So in order to like really understand film, I had to understand photography. And that let me know and that also helped me with being a director of photography. Now, this may sound the same, but like the person that's holding the camera in on set is a director of photography, a DP, as you would
Hmm.
say it, and they're
Hmm.
thinking about the colors, they're thinking about the composition, they're thinking about
Hmm.
the lighting, and they're working with the director on like how can they use movement to continue to convey the message that the director wants,
Wow.
right? So it's really like a lineage. It's like it's really like it's there's a clear line of steps that's like just been happening for years. These people who
Mm.
are gaffers who do
Yeah.
really well with lighting,
Mhm.
and are come on set and they come up with these lighting plans. They
Mhm.
ultimately become the DP because um, they know lighting and they know how to direct people around lighting. So now they have the camera and they direct the people on what the lighting that they want, and then director's like, yeah, this is the look that I want. And then sure enough, the DP in most
Mhm.
cases start to say, okay, I work with this director all the time. This is type of lighting, this is type of like movement I could have, but I want to tell a
Mhm.
story now too. They become a director, and then directors become sometimes creative directors because you know so much about all the different assets that make up a film or make up a project, and then you're like, okay, I want the type to be like this, I want the fonts to be bulgy, I want the colors around it, around the packaging of the image,
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
what you're creating, to like
Mhm.
all be, look this way. Like I work with so many creative directors from Nike who also rose up the ranks. So yeah, it's there's a clear line of like, understanding film one on one through photography, and then working your way up like the different
So so
phases.
just hearing your story and like understanding, because like now I can close my eyes, and as you speak and as you explain, like the process, it's
Hmm.
like okay, it's things are not always linear. Things are not always a straight line. There's always a bell curve of up and downs. But like understanding that you like okay, I reached to level two. Not to saying that there's levels, but there's always depth of skill of building.
Yeah,
So they're just like okay, I mastered this trend. Now I got to master this trend. Now I
yeah,
have to refine. Now I have to do. Not just hearing all of that. That's all I'm like understanding. Like you're like a blacksmith, real like
100%.
so to speak. Like you're hammering down the imperfections until you
Yeah,
find a perfect like straight blade. Like okay, this is a masterpiece, but now I could top that masterpiece and
yeah,
top the next one. And that's
hmm,
what I'm hearing from you, just learning that okay, this is how I like to doing of grading, finding your look,
yeah.
finding your niche, finding the thing that could be your stamp. And hearing your story and walking through, and how my question to you, brother, how can you inspire other entrepreneurs? Like what advice would you give like young Anthony and young adolescents that are in dreams of creating content or dreams of digital art? What advice would you give to them if they were trying to walk in your shoes?
The advice I would give to anybody that's walking in my shoes is
Mm-hmm.
to do research. Do research. Talk to people, see what's on the internet,
Mm-hmm.
read about it, watch some YouTube videos about it, and then actually go and do that thing. Like learn about it and then
Mm-hmm.
experiment. And going back to the beginning of our conversation, like speaking, working, me and my brothers, we were just experimenting and having fun with life, and then figuring out that, oh, these things work. These are the things that we actually like. Let's do more of it because I think this is it. We like skateboarding. Okay, then let's figure out what it takes to like get a proper skateboard. Because I had a Toys R Us skateboard when I first got a skateboard. Let's keep it a
Wow,
buck.
really?
And I painted it.
Mm-hmm.
He painted my homeboy painted it, and it was dope. And it had my nickname Spider, because I have all these, again, like all these hands. Like that's how I
Yep.
kind of thought about it. But it's like,
Yep.
um, I had painted my name on it, but then we were like, wait, this paint is not is we don't have no grip for our feet. It looks
Mm-hmm.
good. So then we realized, oh, you got to get grip tape, you got to get wheels, you got to get bearings, you got to get trucks.
Yep.
So now we're like learning that how those things also affect you as a skater, and then what your style and your look,
Mm-hmm.
contributes to like what you have underneath your feet as a board. It's so much that goes into like just taking yourself to the next level. And I like for myself, when I look at younger me in the mirror, because I could see like 10-year-old me like looking bright-eyed at the world, and seeing my older sister Princess go to like, you know studios and sing for people like Diddy, or like, working with an after school program. She had a chorus program, and I was there, and it was just like, yeah, You know, like dream and then do. Dream, research, do.
Hmm. That's important too, to just to make sure that you at least have the basics or the foundation of what you need to do, or
Hmm.
an idea like, okay, this is what I want to do. Let me at least understand which steps I need to take to go forward.
Yeah.
And
If you think about it like this, the square root. If you look at the end goal of what you love, if you
hmm
find the square root of that,
hmm
and then you'll know the process you need to go through after research. But yeah, okay.
nah, you're absolutely right. Like, especially like, when you find out like, okay, I think I'm going to the right way. Even on this interview, not trying to interrupt you too much, but also not like trying to allow you to be too long winded, and just like, okay, hold on, let me interject a little bit, just so it
Yeah,
doesn't feel like it's just a one sided thing.
yeah.
And knowing of you, because I want people to know the you that I see, the perception that I know. I'm like, oh, this dude is humble. This dude
Hmm.
is hardworking. This dude is just like, grinding out the mud and just trying to excel himself a lot. And even now, just making time to talk to me is like, it means the world to me. It means a whole much more than just to
Yeah,
try to make sure, like, hey, I want to hear this brother out. I know we haven't spoken in years because due to
yeah,
me serving in the military, but
yeah. You was
still
out.
but keeping up with you, I'm like, oh, I'm seeing, boom, boom. Let me, happy birthday, bro. Boom, all love, keep on going, bro. Boom,
Hmm.
and even like on Kim's end, just like, oh, look, he's on the billboard. I was like, oh, that's the boy. That's my guy. He's just doing what he got to do, and
Yeah,
even impressing people. Oh, you know this cat? I'm like, yeah. Where you think you get all this stuff? It's like not just to enact like, oh, like how people's like hang on to the tropes of, oh, I know a celebrity that knows a celebrity. Like,
hmm,
nah, I know a guy that's genuine about his work, that loves his crafts, versus like, oh, I'm just trying to build up to make money. Even though money is important, yes, money is important,
it's very
but
important, but
it
it shouldn't trump the dream.
it shouldn't be your driving force.
Hmm.
If you don't love what you do, and as I could see, like, you love what you do, and you're like, you know what, let me come back to my roots, let me come back to my basics,
Yeah,
and like, what, let me refine it. And
yeah.
just as like, an artiste, because you're a walking art now.
Yo, listen, I'm surrounded by so many artists, and I had to realize that like in the beginning of my career, like
Mm-hmm.
going to LES, like I was at Con Artist Gallery, right? Con Artist Gallery was like pretty much a gym membership for artists
Mm-hmm.
in LES. So art, they would come and they'll create work in the space, and then they have like a little gallery in the front, and then you
Mm-hmm.
can submit the work that you create there to be in the show, and people pop out and show love, right, to all these dope artists, and like far artists from far and wide would come there. And then I went to Wallplay, which is around the block, which is like an
Mm-hmm.
experimental marketing company,
Yep.
and they did all these physical pop-ups, like I said earlier. And even before that, like I went to performing arts high school. I went to Talent Limited, um, in which my friends from high school, I still have the same friends, um, who keep me very humble as well. Make me realize who I am, because we kind of get out of shape with our experience. But anyways, all that to say that like I'm here to archive us in this moment. When people look back at my work as a time capsule, they're going to see all the connections between these peoples over time.
Yeah.
You can't talk about Zendaya without talking about Law. Law is the mother. Law Roach is the image architect. He's one of the best stylists in the industry, and
Mm-hmm.
he taken so many people and like took their career to the next level just from fashion, right? Like,
Yo.
but you
Yo.
can't see that. Like when I first worked with Law and Zendaya, it was in 2019, and we did a Tommy Hilfiger show, and it
Yep.
was an all black cast,
Yep.
all black
Yep.
models in Paris,
Yep.
and it was just like it was just crazy because it's just like he understands that like what his story is and why this means so much to us, and a lot of times people don't understand that till years later,
Yeah.
you know. Um, so yeah, with all that to say, like it's super important to like for me to show like the connection and the artistic legacy that, kind of shows the commitment to like everybody in their craft and how we connect, because we're not doing this alone. Like there's so many different people that influence each other and like give each other tips. Like I have other director friends that are telling me like, hey, listen, I just worked on this project for this. Like there might be an opening with, Toyota. You should probably have your agents check into them,
Hmm.
like, or like, yo, I need some, like I'm trying to figure out this idea. Like, let me bounce something off of you. And then they're like, yo, I was going to do this for another project, but you can take this idea. Like, you know,
Hmm.
so it, I just love to show like how people are connected, and it looks glitzy and glammy because it's within the fashion realm, it's in the film realm, but it's really just showing how people are communicating.
Oh, 110%. And like I know some of the people probably want me to ask these particular questions cuz like, I know you're doing you're working closely with Zendaya regarding of her upcoming film documentary The Challenger.
Yeah, the film.
And now like knowing that like, you're working closely and like reenacting all that stuff, I was just like, dang, this guy really like locked in. Like anytime that I see like you're doing a big project, it's like the
Mhm.
world is quiet and you're just locked in. And
Yeah.
then until like when you're done, and I'm like, he's bowling, he having a good time. And then next thing you know, next project, I was like, this dude just finished working. What is he doing?
Yo, the also amazing part about life is that
Hmm.
things happen in the right timing. Like, again, I could only be myself. I could only like continue to do what I love. But if
Yeah.
I didn't always keep up the pace, even when I'm working on these projects, because well, a film, it takes about a year to make it, and then it takes another year a year to get it into production, then it takes another year to like finalize the film, and then it's going in
Facts.
festivals before it actually gets to things. So it gets to the theater. So with that being said, like I've been working on challenges since 2022, and I've done all these the editorial that I just put out. I shot that last year June.
Nah. Hold on, talk about. No,
Yeah,
obviously, we are aware, but it seems like, oh, bro, you just finished that thing like last week. I was like, yo, this
yeah,
dude, like, what's going on? Just to see how, as you stated, like you time capsule, you just want to make sure you have a document image of things that have happened. That's like, hey, I wouldn't be here without this image. I wouldn't be here without this situation. Knowing that, I was like, oh wow. And that's when like I was getting freshly out of the military, just thinking like, all right, cool, I'm done. All right, getting my degree, getting to do all that stuff.
mhm,
Thinking, oh my guy's working. Oh hell yeah. To come to find out, oh bro, we just polishing everything. This is from years of work, but we're polishing before we just give in the final product.
yeah,
And I ain't gonna lie, it's amazing. It's amazing knowing that like how much growth you have as a person and as a professional.
yeah,
And just even having the ability to just be a part of your growth is a blessing in itself, because then you have no idea how much blessings you give onto others indirectly. And to
mhm,
conclude this, because I know you are a very busy man, like
indeed,
we talked about like how you started off with your siblings and you building upon your production, and how you just trying to bring your artistry, your work back at home, to coming back to the roots.
yeah,
To conclude this, what is your advice to the youth, to the upcoming generation that's in need of a positive male masculine form in art, right? Because to me now, that as you building up, and like not to give too much praise, or like not too much praise, like to put you up there, you like the Jean Michel Basquiat now of photography now. I
wow,
give you I gotta give you your flowers for like
wow,
respectfully.
wow.
Yeah,
I
I
fuck
got I
with
gotta
Jean
give it to the
Michel.
bro.
Listen. That is probably one of the best compliments I've ever gotten, because all I know is these artists who actually paved the way. Like, and it was in a short blip of their time, but like what they were creating was actually from their heart. It was actually from their heart, and then people gravitate to it, and then some people misuse it, and some people use it for the right way. But one thing I do know is when I
Hmm.
see Jean Michel, I see 80s. I see you see there's so many things that you have to tap into. Once you tap into him, it's
Yeah.
literally like a vein that then splits up into all these different arteries. It's just like, wow, you know, like the
Yeah.
world, they were world built. Okay, that's the thing. This is the thing. World building. Think about
What?
world building. It's all about how it looks, how it smells, how it tastes, how you move through it, how do you walk. It's so many things that you build upon over layers, over time. Like, what does your world look like? I want all the young people, anybody whose question is like, what does your world look like? You know, if you had the world as you see it and the way you want it to be,
Mm.
what does it look like to you? Now go get it.
Yes,
Isn't it?
sir.
Isn't it?
Yes, sir, man. Yes, sir. Yo, Ant, thank you again. Thank you again for pulling up. This is Not For Nothing podcast. Yo, what are you doing? Like, subscribe, tune in. There's more episodes
Please.
coming up.
Yeah.
Yo, son, God bless.
Thank you, my
Peace out.
brother. Peace.